Hey, this is Rue, and today I'm reviewing the Arkansas State DLC for American Truck Simulator after 100%. This is going to be a look at the State DLC only. If you want a review of the whole game, I've done that in a different video, which I'll link below. As usual with these reviews, I'm going to cover what you get with this DLC, what I liked, what I didn't like, and then finish by talking about value and my overall conclusion. I like to review things after 100%. Now in the case of ATS, that doesn't mean that I've driven every single mile of road, but for this Arkansas review, I've looked at every city, viewpoint, and the vast majority of the roads and highways. Here's my in-game map. The areas I've driven are marked in yellow. I've also completed all the achievements for Arkansas, although these weren't particularly thorough, and we'll talk about those more later. Let's start with what you get in this DLC. The state of Arkansas is on the smaller side for a full-price state, but it's fairly dense with lots of roads, cities, and depots. You get 9 officially marked cities, but you sort of get a 10th since you can now get depots on the Arkansas side of Texarkana, which is accurate and a nice touch. The biggest change with the Arkansas DLC from the last several, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska, is that SCS software is finally breaking out from the Great Plains region of the United States and hitting some new geography. In this case, the Ozark Mountains, a couple of national forests, and the Mississippi River Delta. The northwestern part of Arkansas is quite hilly and forested, and this is well modeled in-game. As you hit the eastern part of the state, the terrain levels out, but you still get plenty of trees, rivers, and lakes. You get several unique depots or company locations with the Arkansas DLC. There's a large nuclear power plant to the east of Fort Smith, a bromine chemical plant near El Dorado, and the Little Rock Airport is shown in quite a bit of detail. I think this might be one of the better airports SCS has done. You can actually drive under a couple taxiways, which can lead to some cool moments. As usual, the cities themselves are well done. Arkansas doesn't have any huge cities, so you're not going to see anything like the skylines of Dallas or Houston, but the cities that are here feel appropriately sized. Each one gets unique landmarks: Little Rock's old railroad bridges, Fayetteville's historic buildings, the National Cemetery in Fort Smith, and so on. Hot Springs has to be the standout, with a lot of realistic touches and detail. You also get several new cargo types with this DLC: packed lumber, a wood chipper, clamshell buckets, and more. These are nice but pretty minor. More significant is the new dynamic cargo loading and unloading. This isn't locked to the Arkansas DLC. The first phase of dynamic cargo came out with update 1.50 in the Nebraska DLC, but it's been expanded with additional cargo types and depots. The dynamic cargo loading is really cool, but we'll talk about it more in a bit. Let's move on to the things I liked about this DLC. Overall, Arkansas is a lot of fun to drive through, and more fun than the last few states. This isn't a knock on SCS. Obviously, it's not the developer's fault that the Great Plains states are flat and geographically boring. I actually still like those DLCs and think they did as good of a job as they could. But the reality of it is that Arkansas is just more fun and interesting to drive through than Kansas. I think SCS sets a high bar for themselves with respect to attention to detail and capturing the unique feel of each state. This might be personal bias as I've driven there a fair bit, but I think the release of Texas and the subsequent Great Plains states has shown that SCS's standards are higher than ever. I'm happy to report that the Arkansas DLC is no exception. SCS has once again nailed the feel of what is honestly an underrated state as far as geography and natural beauty go. I also think SCS has really stepped up their game in terms of depot locations. I first noticed this in the Oklahoma DLC with the massive tire factory outside of Lawton, but it's present here as well. This isn't just the huge locations like paper mills and chemical plants, but also the smaller ones. I had to pick up deliveries from the back of a home improvement store and a Walmart equivalent, and in both cases the buildings have way more detail than they used to. The level of detail even extends to things most people won't see. Look at this guy spraying graffiti on the side of the building. Look at this mural near the Arkansas nuclear plant. If you look for it, there are lots of small touches like this which aren't required but really add to the world feeling alive and unique. There's an entire hidden road near the Hot Springs area that leads up to a lookout tower. None of this is marked on the game map, so most players won't see it, but the devs spent significant time on it anyways. Let's move on to the dynamic cargo loading. This is kind of a tricky one because I think it looks awesome, but most people aren't going to see it. That's because dynamic loading is only available if you bring your own trailer. In other words, cargo market jobs. On some level this makes sense, but I think the majority of players do quick jobs or freight market jobs. Cargo market jobs require buying a bunch of trailers and having to change them out all the time for different cargo types. What I'd like to see is an option for both quick and freight market jobs that offers additional XP for picking up an empty trailer at one part of the depot and loading it in another. Just like parking, if people don't want to mess with that and just get on the road, they'll have a skip option. The last thing I want to mention in this section is something small but that I still appreciated. You can fast travel to all the cities in Arkansas, even the small ones. SCS has been better about this recently, and I think this is the right way to go. For contrast, look at Arizona. The smaller dots represent cities you can't fast travel to. Not only is this less convenient, but if you're looking to pick up a particular job, it sort of funnels you into quick jobs. I'd rather have my own rig, but I don't always want to have to drive 3 hours just to get there. Let's move on to the things I didn't like. Honestly, I don't have anything major here, but I do have a couple small things. First, I wish SCS would improve the DLC specific achievements. I know some people don't care about achievements, but I like them, and with the last few DLCs, these are starting to feel a little bit routine and phoned in. Compare these 6 Colorado achievements to the 4 Arkansas ones. Washington had 8, even if some were pretty basic. The worst kind of achievements are the ones that require RNG or save scumming to get a really specific cargo, origin, or destination. Arkansas isn't the worst here, but Kansas and Nebraska were really bad with this. I'd like to see more variety in what you're being asked to do for the achievements, as well as crossover between states. SCS did this once. There's an achievement that requires both the Idaho and Washington DLC, but apparently they've ditched that idea. Even if you don't require a second specific state, I'd love to see more achievements for long deliveries or perfect deliveries. This would give people who may not have all the DLC some flexibility in how they get it done. The second thing I want to talk about are the photo trophies. I don't know what happened to them. At first I thought there just weren't any since none show up on the map, but I happened to try out the camera mode near the southeastern corner of the map and this location lit up yellow, like it normally would with a photo trophy location. To verify, I went and checked in Hot Springs, and sure enough, more locations lit up yellow. So maybe this is just a bug that'll get patched. Let's move on to value. The Arkansas DLC is retailing for $12 US, in line with other states not named Texas. I think this is a reasonable value for what you get. While the state is on the smaller side, there's still a lot to do and see here, and the quality level remains high. In fact, even though I enjoyed the last 2 states, Kansas and Nebraska, if you're on a limited budget, I would recommend getting Arkansas first. This one's up there with Texas as one of my favorite DLCs so far. I'm looking forward to Missouri, another state with underrated natural beauty. I continue to be impressed with the high standard SCS has for these state releases. I'm sure they know that a large segment of their customer base will buy these DLCs without hesitation, so there has to be a temptation to cut corners, lower costs, and coast on the reputation they've built. I'm very glad that hasn't been the case yet, but I plan to keep up with these reviews as future states get released. I'm very familiar with the American Midwest, so it'll be interesting to see what they do going forward. Anyways, that about wraps this one up. If you enjoy this sort of content, feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.